welcome to Flim OV. Sangmin, an international student, hurried back to his home country after getting a call from his parents. His childhood friend and neighbor, Baun, picked him up at the airport. Baun, a 16-year-old high school student, is 8 years younger than Sangmin. They have known each other since they were kids and share a close bond like siblings. Sangmin seems like a carefree playboy, easily distracted by attractive women. Even on the airport shuttle, he couldn't help but stare at a passing flight attendant. This annoyed Baun, and they bickered the whole way. To celebrate their reunion, Sangmin brought a special gift for Baun, a bra, and teased her, which made her hit him playfully. Once they arrived home, they visited Baun's grandfather. It turned out that Sangmin's family and Baun's family have been neighbors and friends for a long time. Sangmin's grandfather and Baun's grandfather were comrades in war and had a close bond, once agreeing to marry their children to each other. However, since both grandfathers only had sons, the agreement was passed down. Sangmin's grandfather has passed away, and Baun's grandfather is not well. He called them back, hoping they would honor the old agreement and marry before he dies. But Sangmin is still in college and not ready for marriage, while Baun is just a 16-year-old student. Although the law allows marriage with parental consent for those over 16, neither of them understands marriage and both strongly oppose it. Sangmin reconnects with his old friends, including Jisoo, a beautiful and kind senior from the art department. Meanwhile, Baun has a crush on her school's baseball player, Lee Young-woo. Seeing no progress in the marriage plan, Baun's grandfather insists that both families work together while he pretends to be seriously ill. Sangmin's father, frustrated, lost his temper and smashed a car in anger at home. Sangmin jokingly told Baun they should get married when he picked her up from school, but she quickly said no. Just then, they received news that their grandfather was very ill, which made them hurry to the hospital to honor his last wish. Baun, in tears, agreed to the marriage, and the wedding plans began. Baun's mother, feeling both sad and supportive, tried to comfort her daughter. Meanwhile, Sangmin was at a bar, feeling down and watching the lively dance floor filled with attractive women. His friends were flirting with everyone, and the thought of leaving his single life for marriage almost made him cry. The wedding took place as planned, with Sangmin looking sharp and Baun looking incredibly beautiful. They seem like a perfect couple in front of their family and friends. At 24, Sangmin and 16-year-old Baun officially became husband and wife. However, during their honeymoon, Baun secretly stayed behind while Sangmin went alone to Jeju Island. That night, Baun returned home but couldn't face the happy family photos, so she spent the night at a sauna instead. At the resort, Sangmin, feeling bored and frustrated, started playing pranks to entertain himself. Baun's high school principal, who used to work for her grandfather, arranged a school trip to explain her absence during the honeymoon. Sangmin ran into Baun's friend, Hwon, who was on the trip. Hwon, the only one who knew about their marriage, was confused to see Sangmin by himself. In the mix-up, Sangmin and Hwon accidentally bumped into each other just as their teacher, Ms. Kim, walked by, causing Sangmin to quickly leave. Meanwhile, Baun was on a date in the park with her crush, Lee Young-woo, where they confessed their feelings and started dating. Later that evening, Sangmin saw Hwon's group again. Hwon felt angry for Baun when she saw Sangmin flirting with other women. Ms. Kim, thinking Sangmin was causing trouble, punched him. After returning alone from their honeymoon, Sangmin found Baun looking at their family photo on the doorstep. He was upset but kept quiet. They acted happy as they entered the house, and when their grandfather asked, they both lied about having a great honeymoon. Sangmin, drunk, was helped by their parents to carry Baun to their room, where he passed out on the bed. They had their own newlywed home. On their first night, Sangmin jokingly suggested they share a room, but Baun firmly said no. In the school cafeteria, Baun told her friend Hwon that she was dating Lee Young-woo. Hwon looked sad, revealing she also liked Lee Young-woo. At a bar, Sangmin was with Jisoo and others, trying to show he was in charge at home. Sangmin bragged that Baun would come whenever he called, then he called her, demanding she come over right away. Baun watched him drunkenly ramble and, not wanting to make a scene, gently urged him to go home. In the car, Sangmin kept mumbling Jisoo's name, which annoyed Baun. As time passed, Sangmin and Baun's life together found a rhythm. When Baun sprained her ankle at the supermarket, Sangmin carried her home like they did as kids. They had fun cooking together and played rock paper scissors to decide who would do the dishes. Living like a typical young couple, they didn't notice the growing affection between them. One day, Sangmin saw Baun on TV cheering for Lee Young-woo during a baseball game. The commentator mentioned their close bond, including a cozy sushi meal they had before the game. Sangmin felt down as he sat quietly on the sofa, sipping his drink and waiting for Baun to come home. He hesitated to talk to her, knowing she was just a high school student with a lively school life, and he realized he had no right to blame her. Their marriage was mainly to honor their grandfather's wishes. Sangmin couldn't hurt Baun, especially since they had grown up together like siblings. At the gym, Haiwan turned away from Baun, accusing her of being selfish for having both a husband and a boyfriend. With tears in her eyes, Haiwan admitted, "I like him too," before running off. Baun, lost in thought, recognized that her choices might have hurt those around her. At this critical moment, her grandfather stepped in again, using his connections to make Sangmin a student teacher at Baun's high school. Sangmin felt torn. He didn't want to disrupt Baun's school life but was also worried about her. In the principal's office, Ms. Kim, eager to marry, recognized Sangmin as the attractive man she had seen before. Her interest peaked when she learned he was the new teacher. When Baun saw Sangmin at the front of her class, she was shocked and felt unfairly treated. During a staff dinner, Ms. Kim flirted with Sangmin, making it hard for him to escape and get home. Baun confronted him, demanding to know why he was teaching at her school without telling her first. Sangmin, feeling innocent, assured her he wouldn't disclose their relationship. The next day, after a night of drinking, he accidentally pulled out Baun's underwear from his pocket, thinking it was a handkerchief, in front of the class. Luckily, Baun quickly stepped in to keep their classmates from noticing. Ms. Kim then invited Sangmin to lunch at the school's outdoor cafeteria. Baun felt uneasy as she caught the attention and gossip of her classmates, leading her to make sarcastic comments to Sangmin. Unbeknownst to her, she had started to see Sangmin as her husband. Naturally, when she saw him laughing and talking with another woman, jealousy crept in. Meanwhile, Sangmin spent his time in his room watching romantic movies to learn about love, which distracted Baun from her studies. During one of their arguments, Ms. Kim unexpectedly arrived at their home, having somehow tracked them down. In a panic, Sangmin and Baun quickly hid their wedding photos behind the curtains. Baun anxiously watched as Ms. Kim almost found her, and in a moment of fear, she covered her head with the curtain and ran away. In class, a girl playfully asked Sangmin if he was a romantic Virgo, smiling at him. Sangmin shared a story about his first love, the only woman who visited him during his 3 years in the military, unaware of his feelings for her. Baun, feeling a twinge of jealousy, muttered that it must be Jisoo, forgetting that she had once tried to visit Sangmin at the army base but was turned away, leaving him a letter instead. Sangmin received orders for reserve training, and Baun, in her school uniform, stood out as she brought him a homemade meal. She was dismayed to see an older Navy officer bullying Sangmin. Baun confidently intervened, introducing herself as his wife. That evening, they all went to karaoke. Sangmin sang "I Love You More Than Anyone Else," while Baun chose "I Still Don't Know Love," both songs reflecting their lives. On their way home, Sangmin gently wrapped his arm around Baun. She hesitated for a moment but then relaxed into it. Their walk was interrupted by a couple of thugs who made lewd comments. Sangmin defended them, while Baun grabbed a stick, leading to all of them being taken to the police station. A police officer saw Baun in her school uniform and didn't believe she was married to Sangmin. He contacted their school, and the principal along with their homeroom teacher, Ms. Kim, came to confirm their relationship. The school was getting ready for an art festival, and Baun's class was responsible for decorations. Ms. Kim, holding a grudge, made Baun decorate an entire wall alone, which was too much for her. Sangmin questioned this decision, but Ms. Kim was unyielding. At home, Sangmin acted like he couldn't help without raising suspicion among Baun's classmates. Baun was curious, but Sangmin decided to assist her secretly. He asked Haiwan to help while Baun painted the wall. Haiwan joined her, speaking softly about understanding and forgiveness, which strengthened their friendship. While Baun and Haiwan took a break, Sangmin worked on the wall but was caught by some troublemaking girls. Sangmin's mother came to visit, and because of the rain, she stayed overnight, making Sangmin and Baun share a bed. Sangmin dreamed of what married couples do but ended up singing Baun to sleep and holding her close. The next day, Baun and Haiwan continued painting, but it didn't look great. In the bathroom, they talked, unaware that other girls were listening to their conversation about Baun and Sangmin. Baun complained about Sangmin not helping, while he was actually working late with his friends to finish the mural. Meanwhile, Baun's younger brother, wanting to impress at a family gathering, secretly filmed his first attempt to ask a girl out but accidentally recorded Baun and Lee Youngwoo on a sweet date instead. Baun, feeling ashamed, ran away in tears. Sangmin found her at their old swing set and, without any blame, shared memories of their childhood there. While Baun was filled with guilt and sorrow, her mother softly reminded her of how Baun always lit up when Sangmin was near and how he cared for her more than her own parents did. Jisoo called to tell Baun that Sangmin had been secretly working on the mural for her every night without her knowing. Baun hurried to the hall and saw the mural Sangmin had completed, a boy pushing a girl on a swing beneath a tree. The memories flooded back, bringing tears to her eyes. To give Baun space to process her feelings, Sangmin decided to move out, making her emotions even more complicated. She missed him when he was gone and often thought about him. In his room, she discovered his paint-stained clothes, their childhood photos, and a paper plane filled with letters she had written to him 3 years earlier during his military service. Baun realized that Songmin's first love was her. On the day of the art festival, Baun ended her relationship with Lee Youngwoo, understanding who she truly loved. At the festival, Sangmin, representing the student teachers, spoke on stage, and their relationship was revealed. Facing surprised students and teachers, Sangmin calmly shared that they were getting married, explaining that Baun agreed to it to honor her grandfather's wish. He asked everyone to let her have a normal school life. Baun bravely stepped forward and declared her love for Sangmin in front of everyone. Amid loud applause, they embraced, bringing their story to a joyful end. Baun was lucky to be Songmin's first love, despite his seemingly carefree attitude. He was a responsible and caring partner, and they had always supported each other since childhood. The story concludes happily. Let me know if you enjoyed the movie. See you at the next one.